Hey everyone, welcome to another episode, part of our Summer of Atlassian series. I have Owen Pyatt with me today, and we're going to be just having a very casual conversation. Owen works for Eficode, and we're going to be talking a little bit about what it's like to be in the Atlassian ecosystem. He just became a content creator as part of Atlassian's content creator program. We're definitely going to be chatting about that as well. Owen, welcome. Thank you very much for coming on, and maybe let's get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Alex. I'm excited.
All right, so again, super casual conversation. As I was mentioning right before the pregame here, is our paths kind of just happened like what, maybe month and a half ago, 2 months
Yeah,
ago.
yeah,
And so I kind of want to get to know you better because you came into my life in a very interesting way, and I
yeah,
came into your life in a different, interesting way. Not a path that I think most people would take. And so I was hoping maybe we can dig into it a little bit deeper and get to know each other a
definitely.
little bit better. All right, so we'll start off with so what's your origin story? Like I know pretty much everybody in the Atlassian ecosystem, and you came out of left field here. So
Yeah,
why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and how long you've been in the Atlassian ecosystem?
yeah. So, a little bit about me: born and raised here in St. Louis, Missouri, right in the middle of the U.S. Um, Traveled around a little bit throughout college, and then kind of settled in Nevada for a few years. Right after college, got really into snowboarding, living out near Tahoe. At the time, I was working as a key account manager for a company called Duraflex. They are the sole manufacturer of all the professional diving boards in the whole world. So every competitive diving board event, it's a bit of a monopoly. So I was doing key account management there. They have like a dealer network set up. So I was managing all the dealers and all the accounts there. Ended up moving back to St. Louis and got synced up with a kind of a business mentor, life mentor here in St. Louis. He actually owned a platinum partner in St. Louis and thought I'd be a great fit. So kind of took me under his wing, and we can chat more about, me actually getting into Jira here in a little bit. But so got into the Atlassian ecosystem a few years ago, kind of at the tail end of lockdown during COVID and all that craziness. So before I came on, they were doing a lot of on-site. Obviously, as I came into the ecosystem, everything fully remote. But it was really a great time. They really gave me the ability to go back to school. So in Jira, so I really just kind of put my study hat on for 8 months. Now that as I was onboarded into the company, I had several other mentors there. I had so much help in getting me where I'm at today. But one of my key kind of JSM mentors and business mentors at the time, as I was studying for I think the ACP 620 was the first one I took. And as I was kind of studying for the test and getting acclimated into the software systems, he told me, we need to know JSM as if there's no computer in front of us. And I was like, okay. So I went all in. JSM ended up just really clicking for me, came up through the kind of accreditations really quickly, became an Atlassian certified professional within 6 months. Now I'm an Atlassian certified expert as well as an ITIL. Is it project manager? I have 2 ITIL certifications. I think it's professional manager or something like that.
So this whole thing has been happening very quickly and very recently.
Yes. So I came up. Yes, it's been a blessing and a bit of a roller coaster. So I've now been with 3 partners and 1.5 kind of, I guess, through an acquisition, one into one, through an acquisition. And then now I'm with Eficode. So yeah, it's been a whirlwind, met a lot of great people. Like I said, I had some really key individuals play a big part in my career at the beginning to help get me to where I am. And now, kind of settling into the job and really, hopefully making a good and big impact.
Yeah, no, Mr. Beast has like this saying, right? Like the ultimate cheat code, or he calls it the young kids have they have these terms, right, for OP or
Yeah.
something like that, overpowered. Like he's
Uh-huh.
like Mr. Beast was like the ultimate OP was like is having a mentor, right? Because you can
Yeah.
go down the traditional route. I think your story is a little bit unique then, because when I listen to or communicate with a lot of the folks in the Atlassian ecosystem, we're talking folks that have been around since the beginning of Jira, right? So
Yep.
we're talking 15,
Yep.
16, 17 years, 20 years, right?
Yep.
I've been around since 2016, so it's still a good 7, 8 years.
Uh-huh.
And so I think it's more rare for someone to make this big of an impact this quickly, right? And definitely having that mentorship model
Yeah.
definitely lets you leapfrog, because it took me 5 years of crying
Yeah. Yeah.
to get here.
Yeah. Yeah. And it just as an anecdote, OP is my gamer tag on
Is it really?
online. Yeah. So
How old are you then? Because you might
I
be,
try to keep it I
yeah.
try to keep it a secret, Alex.
Were you born in the 80s or 90s, or you
Oh,
gotta
oh,
be
oh, almost 2000s. I'm 26.
almost okay. Now
Yeah.
then, yeah, you're
98.
still very young then. So I got 11 years on you,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
or 10 years on you. I'm not very good at public math, so I try not to do it. But yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Well, so let's keep going then. I think just you again being in this ecosystem here. It's interesting that you picked JSM though. Like, was that something that you told me that one guy was like, hey, memorize or learn in JSM with your high schools, but like,
Yeah.
was that something that you wanted to do, or did you have like your heart in something else? Like, because JSM, it's cool, but it's not the best product.
Yeah. So as I was kind of coming up, working through my certifications and just kind of gaining, business experience, that's where the need was at the time. ITSM. It was a smaller team at my first partner, and they needed help. So I kind of jumped in. Um, and I, once again, kind of piggybacking off of that mentorship and guidance from people who had been doing it longer for me. I saw it as a more strategic play for myself to go all in on one product and be like a true subject matter expert. So all things service management, I can play a hand in, and what that's helped me do is now I can play a role at every single stage, and that's kind of what I've been doing at my new role at Eficode is doing enterprise sales, doing enterprise level demos, full pre-sales as well as discovery and implementations. Because I went all in on one product, I was
Because
able
you
to
know it,
kind of,
right?
yeah,
Yeah,
I know it inside and out.
right.
And then
Yeah,
now
no,
having the ITIL background of the processes behind the tool, it's just really helped me, aim small, miss small. I was just able to kind of accelerate, I think, growth because I went all in on one thing. But it still is, at Team, I think they said it's a $62 billion market. So it's like ITSM. Well, I have a few thoughts. You said it's not the best product, but I think what's great about JSM is I really think it's becoming the
the best.
best. And so it's almost like I made it the investment in the tool when it wasn't the best, but I see
I
it's nowhere near the peak yet. I really don't think so.
I think Atlassian has a tough sell, right? So ServiceNow is, I think, JSON's biggest competitor when you look at just the landscape, right?
Mhm.
And so many businesses are just already invested in ServiceNow.
Yeah.
And it's such a behemoth, right? So I'm afraid of ServiceNow. It's just like you need like 30 PhDs just to know how to work that damn thing,
Yeah.
right? It's just
Mhm.
so overly complex. But again, from a business perspective, it's such a tough like conversation to have with folks. They're saying like, hey, it'd be like almost like asking a company leave Microsoft and come to Google, or vice
Yeah.
versa, right? Like change that such a big
Yeah.
dependent infrastructure that every moving piece, everybody's tapping into, right? Because a lot of companies use
Yeah.
an ITSM solution for all their moving pieces in their business.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts there? Like, do you have big challenges? How do you usually convince somebody that like JSM is the right way?
Yeah. So, well, what we see a lot is that Atlassian products are somewhere within, most companies,
Yeah, everybody's
enterprise
using at
solution
least
stack.
Jira.
Yes,
Yeah,
there's something somewhere, and so our play is generally what can JSM do to facilitate services for maybe service teams that aren't kind of in that IT service management or ITIL framework. So marketing teams, your HR teams,
mm.
your operations, your facilities
To go
teams, all
after the
those things
smaller
that
fish that wouldn't necessarily be the dedicated IT help desk, but they
yes,
benefit from the power of an
of
ITSM
JSM.
tool, right?
Yes. So we see we're all in on the land and expand approach. So what kind of ancillary service teams can benefit from JSM at that lower price point? And then once they see, oh my gosh, oh wait, JSM really can do all these things that ServiceNow and some of these other platforms are doing just as well at a great price point. And what's so unique about Atlassian is they've really created a true one-stop shop for all things business management. I mean, business operations management can all be done within the Atlassian suite. So, yeah, our play right now, we're not trying to boil the ocean. we're trying to say, hey, what are these kind of side service processes? And this is for the teams that are fully invested in ServiceNow. What are these side processes? A little bit of somewhere we've seen a lot of success is saying, hey, did you know Opsgenie comes out of the box with Jira Service Management? Can we save you guys some license costs with your alert management tool and combine that with your service management tool as well, kind of have some tool consolidation and license consolidation. So that's been something that's been a really unique selling point and really successful USP for JSM has been Opsgenie coming completely out of the box.
Yeah, because that's usually how so when I do all my JSM rollouts have never been as an enterprise ITSM solution, but they've all been like a couple of cases, right? Like there was a process for one of my teams that I worked on many years ago. They had this process where there was a lot of emails exchanged to get communication across, and there was a lot of emails that were dependent on to get approvals and to get sign-offs and stuff. And I'm like, that's just a JSM workflow with approvals, right? And so I built the whole thing up, custom issue types, all the data they want to collect, send an email, automated emails to approvers and whatnot, and build some automation rules. So depending on like business units or whatever the case may be, custom field values, right? We can divert the approvals to whatever. Anybody can submit the request, no licenses required. Anybody can approve them, no licenses required. So that's the kind of utilization of JSM that I've done for the last few years. So yeah, I really like it, right? And a lot of companies do complain so much about having to do these big behemoths like ServiceNow. Not that I'm like anti-ServiceNow, but it's just like, it's not. I try to sign up. So I don't know if it was last year or the year before. I tried to do a ServiceNow versus JSM comparison. I couldn't even get.
It's impossible. You can't even see how much it's going to cost.
Right. They wouldn't do anything, right? So it's like, it's just that barrier to entry for JSM or for Atlassian. I think I applaud them there.
Definitely.
So before we go into the next topic, because I do want to dig deeper into like your role as a solution architect. And I think this will serve as a good transition, right? You said something very meaningful here, right? You doubled down on JSM, if not triple down, if not quadruple down, right? Like you became an expert. And that resonated with me significantly because today, right, I'm a subject matter expert. I wouldn't say in just one tool, right? But literally almost all the Atlassian tools. And there's a tremendous amount of pressure, which I want to talk about pressure as a solutions architect in a second here, right? But there's a tremendous amount of pressure to know your stuff, right? And it's really easy. It's really easy for me to jump on a call with like a vendor and know if they know their surface level information, or they really know the product. And so that's an interesting thing, right? Like you probably went about learning JSM in a very unorthodox way because I've never heard of anyone go deep like you to basically overcome that imposter syndrome. Because I'm assuming at any moment, if I say, hey, Owen, let's just jump on a call right now to talk JSM, you're like, let's do it, right? Like we're ready to go. And that's a really unique skill set because a lot of people are what I call paper tigers, right? Like they have the certifications, they have all the papers that say they quote unquote know how to do something. But the brass tacks hits real hard.
Definitely.
So again, kudos to that. I think that was a very interesting way to do it. So let's transition over to talking about being a solution architect, right? So what does that typically look like? What does your day look like?
So at Eficode, for me personally, I have a bit more of a hybrid role. So I do play a big role in sales and pre-sales. And then in terms of just kind of the solution architect, like the technical consulting part of my job, one of our unique selling points at Eficode is we try to have an SA or solution architect involved at every stage of the sales cycle. So, and what else is really great about that is you start building the relationship with the technical team lead from the very beginning. So it makes contract starting, that transition into actually working with the customer, the trust is already there. It's been really effective for us. And I enjoy customer service and I enjoy building that relationship with the customer. So it's been really great for me too. It's just how I like to work. But in terms of what being an SA actually looks like, it's really, the longer I have the job, I think the simpler it gets. There's really only a few key things that I do. And that's, I find what problems are there. I talk a lot about principle analysis. Like, what are we actually talking about here? I think one thing that can make this job feel overwhelming is, we'll have half-day work sessions And we'll say 3 hours of the conversation is just the customer talking about their process and me just listening. And it could be very overwhelming if you're trying to interpret every single thing that they're saying and how is this all going to apply to JSM. But you really just have to take a step back internally and really listen to these core principal problems that they're having and be able to ask guided questions to actually get to the root of the issue, and remembering that your goal is to build a good solution in the tool. So you also have to have those guided questions be pointing you to a Jira solution as well as a process solution. So
Yeah, 'cause one of the things that I take pride on is I like to tell people, I'm like, my job is to convert English into Jira.
yes,
And you're
totally.
basically describing,
Yeah,
I maybe just
definitely.
not titled myself correctly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's so critical, but you can't BS your way through that. Like, you have to know the tool. You have
Yeah,
to know the power of the tool. You need to know the limitations of the tool. You have to appreciate what it is that customer's trying to achieve. And in your mind, you have to connect the dots of what they just said equals or means or is represented inside of JSM.
definitely.
That's a tremendous amount of pressure though,
Yes. Yes. So
when
it
you don't
is.
know your stuff.
Yes, yes, it is. But I heard a quote like a month ago, and it really resonated with me. But pressure is a privilege. So whenever I feel pressure, I just feel grateful, and if I also want to understand what the pressure is. Is the pressure because I'm unprepared? It's like, okay, then I can get prepared. I can uh, understand and study this customer's market a little bit better, so I can understand the jargon that they're talking about. I can make sure I'm up to date with the updates in JSM so that I know what the UI is going to look like when I'm giving a demo. All those sorts of things. Like, I can be more prepared. Or am I just feeling pressure for no reason at all? And at that point, well, I'm just not going to worry about it. I'm just going to go in and do my best. Um, so yes, it is a lot of pressure when you're sitting on a call and you're trying to interpret and ask guiding questions. But yeah, I'd say principal analysis is a big piece. And then also knowing the tool to be able to translate, just like you said, translating problems into Jira solutions. So, and then I think what makes a great solution architect is doing that on the first try. So, obviously we're not going to be perfect. We certainly don't know everything. And I think the last kind of big part of this job is understanding we don't know everything. That kind of ties into having that trust relationship with the customer to be like, I don't know right now, but I am attached to a global team, and I also can take that back and find the answer for you. So
Yeah.
I think that goes a long way when customers see that you're willing to say, I don't know the best answer to that right now, but I'm going to get you the best answer. That's something that I've seen pays off in the long run, definitely in terms of building that trust.
Yeah. Versus, again, making something up
Yes.
or anything like that, right? I've
Yes.
seen 2017 timeframe for me. I remember one of our servers went down. I used to work in data centers,
Mm-hmm.
and a guy from like Dell came over, and I'm like, dude, what do you do when you get stuck? Like, because the pressure he has, right, to
Yeah.
always have the right answer.
Oh my gosh.
He's
Yeah.
just like, I just tell people I don't know. It's okay.
Yeah.
They're not gonna fire me. It's okay
Yeah.
to not know.
Yeah.
Because as long as you follow up and actually get the answer,
Yes. And
right?
actually get the right answer. Yep. That's totally right.
Which is, again, we'll talk about this when we transition over to content, but that's one of the reasons why I started my channel, was because I got tired of not having answers.
Yep.
So I figured I'm gonna go learn it. I might as well just turn the camera on and document
Do it
it.
with them. Yeah, totally.
So that's how this whole thing came to be. But yeah, let's dig a little deeper. One more thing that I wanted to talk about, right? So in your last, I don't know, months or years at this point
Yeah.
that you've been doing all this, because I tell people, like, hey, you'd be surprised, right? Like, the number of people that ask me the same question in Jira is pretty rare. Almost every question I get is usually a unique question. What's your experience been like then in that department?
I think I agree that the questions are different. I think what I kind of going back to what I was talking about a little bit ago is, I think the more I'm in this job, obviously the more questions I hear, but the more I hear, the more I realize they're actually asking oftentimes the same question
Just
at that
differently,
kind of principle level, at the
right?
really core level. And if it is a question that makes no sense, I think it's on the solution architect to continue to ask guided questions to further understand and kind of, whittle down what they're actually trying to get across.
What do you do in situations where maybe the customer thinks that they know more than you, or they think they already have an answer better than whatever you're offering?
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think that there is
Without getting you fired, of course.
No, yeah. No, I think that there is a level of respect. Whenever I'm working with a customer, I understand that sometimes I'm talking to folks who have been working in this process for 30 plus years. So I definitely take their expertise of the process with a lot of respect and honor. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I really appreciate their perspective of 30 years of, hey, this is how we've been doing it. This is what works. I am not going to be the one to say, let's completely change that process right now. But in terms of people talking about the tool, I usually just say, maybe that's the case. JSM being in the tool as long as I have been now, in terms of just like configuration and schema and the way the tool actually operates, most things can be discussed on the call, and I really know what works and what doesn't.
Do you ever just jump into like, you're like, hey, let's just pull up Jira and let's take
Oh,
a look?
totally. I'm tool first. So yeah, I'm a heavy user in the Atlassian one. You can really show just about anything from that demo site. So yeah, I'm tool first. So if there's discussion around, hey, is this really how it works? We'll just dive right in. Definitely.
Yeah, that's usually the best way, because
Yeah.
that's how I do with my I don't knows, right? Because when somebody asks me like, hey, is this possible? I'm like, well, I don't know. Let's find out.
Let's find out.
And
Yeah.
we'll just jump into Jira and we try to reproduce it. And
Yep.
I'm kind of learning on the spot as well, right? And I think this is what makes our jobs unique, is that we're in the front lines a lot more often than most people, right? Because even just a Jira admin, they're doing repetitive work
Yep.
over and over and over, right? I was just talking to a team today. I was like, I'm so glad that this workflow change that we're just doing, right, is going to be so beneficial for you guys. But for me, I just get to go on to the next workflow. Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing
Yes,
meaningful.
it is.
There's
It
nothing
is nice.
meaningful for me because I don't see the value that
Yeah.
they're going to receive, right? It's a different
Yes.
perception here. And so being just the Jira admin, it's a very, I would say, unrewarding job, because
Yeah.
you're just adding statuses and
Yep.
transitions and whatnot.
Yep.
But being on that architect side of the house, right, you get to really get more creative, right? Because again,
Yeah.
you have to have that deep understanding of the tool so you can craft a solution that's going to solve a business problem.
Definitely.
Which again, lots of pressure when you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. Yes. Definitely.
So a couple more things before we transition, because I do want to talk about St. Louis and content creation here.
Yeah.
But from a, obviously, JSM, you go to, right? It's in your background there.
Yep.
What do you do?
It's on this tattoo right here. I'm kidding.
Little JSM logo.
It's like, all right,
you don't
man.
have your
That's a
I
little
Heart
bit.
JSM.
There you go. It's like you went way too all in.
I know, right? Just a little bit. I dream. You ever see that? Was it Transformer? I forget if it was Transformers 1 or 2 with Shia LaBeouf, where he's envisioning all the symbols. The
Oh
alien.
yeah, I think that's the first scene of the very first one.
Yeah, well, that's me with Jira tickets.
Yeah, same with Wiki. Yep.
I dream of Jira tickets.
Yeah, I think we've all been there. The Jira dreams.
I spend 12 to 14 hours a day in this tool every single day.
Yeah.
An unhealthy amount of time.
Yeah.
But you kind of have to. I think it's the only way to get good, right? It's
Yep.
And I think this is where you and maybe, I don't know if other solution architects appreciate the position that they're in, right? But the fact that you get to make the discoveries on the fly about things that you don't know.
Yeah.
And you get to explore, like, you just connected that neuron and you just got that much better.
Yeah.
Versus somebody that's just always repeating steps.
Yep. Yeah, it is a very cognitively rewarding job, definitely.
Yeah. So anyways, the question I had though was, okay, so JSM, we're really good at translating English to JSM, but one of the things that I see a lot is the answer isn't always just JSM. So what happens when it's a Confluence thing, or it's a Jira software thing, or it's a Bitbucket thing? Like, how do you balance out the rest of the Atlassian tool suite?
So I kind of came up in Jira software just learning this. I mean, I have a really sound understanding of all of the schema that makes up Jira products. So Jira software, really comfortable with. Where I do tap out, because I don't have expertise in the kind of process, is like Agile at scale, those types of things. That's where I'll pull in an expert and make sure that you're getting practice advice on how to roll up your issues and all that stuff. That's where I'll tap out. But in terms of configuration, workflow, I mean, all that stuff, I'm extremely comfortable with. And then in terms of Confluence, Confluence is a big part of Jira Service Management. Obviously, you have to configure help topics and configure labels to make sure certain knowledge base articles are appearing when you want them to, and all those sorts of things. But then I also made it a point to be very comfortable with Confluence consulting, or whatever you want to call it as well. So I'm well versed in Confluence as well. And then where this kind of all comes together, and something that we're really passionate about at Eficode, is this enterprise service management solution that is Jira. ESM is not just JSM. ESM kind of taps into all these different products. So I had to make sure that I have a good understanding of how to pull in subject matter experts with developer escalations, and creating the collaborator project role, as well as kind of building out the automations to actually send those tickets into Jira software when we need to. So in terms of, I can do like a full ESM implementation, but if we're talking agile at scale or any of those sorts of things, I'll pull in an expert. And that's what's great about Eficode. We have this global reach, really big in the DevOps and agile sector. So we have experts to bring in at any time.
Yeah, lucky you, man. I'm a team of
one.
one.
Yeah, definitely.
I get to have to go figure it all out by myself.
Yeah.
So what happens when you run up against something you don't know? Obviously, you call your expert, but how do you learn new things today? Like, how do you get better? How do you push your own limits of your understanding of the tools?
That's a great question. I think a big piece of that is playing a big role in this pre-sales thing. I'll be handed a 10-page document with use case scenarios, and every process is somewhat unique. And so I would say that's how I'm learning still, in just terms of interpreting process into Jira solutions.
But does it ever get like overwhelming when you're like, I don't want to read this 10-pager right now?
No, I'll say no, it really doesn't. No, I love the job. I don't know why. so I love building out demos, and I like to make the demo really custom and make the customer feel really special. So I do, I go all in on the demos. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I got to see you more in your natural habitat.
Yeah, definitely.
Speaking of habitats, though, you have a special place in my heart, right? Because you're from the Lou.
Yes.
And I spent 31 months of my life in St. Louis.
Oh, there you go. Right.
31 months.
That is crazy.
More.
What part?
Yeah. So I live. So I have a house still out in St. Louis. I'm in St. Peter's, part of St. Charles County.
Yeah, definitely. Did you know that before this call that I lived here?
Yeah, very briefly. That's why I put before. I didn't know it before we met. Was it
initially a month ago? Yeah.
But yeah, I knew it as I was researching for what I want to talk about.
Okay, interesting.
Because the Midwest is, so I'm in Southern California, right? And part of the Atlassian ecosystem, right, is, I don't know if you've seen it. I don't know if you've been privileged to like see Microsoft's environments and like Java's and other developer areas, right? But the Atlassian ecosystem is really interesting, right? It's comprised of like people that just care about each other.
Yeah, it's really a great
right. Like when you look at it from not like customer to Epicode, but like Epicode to your competitors.
Yep.
Right. It's a very interesting ecosystem here.
Definitely.
And it reminds me a lot of like the Midwest, right? Because in California it's cutthroat, man. Like you survive here.
Yep.
In Southern California, right? Like everybody's in a hurry, everybody's got an agenda, everybody's got some way to be better than anybody else, right?
Yeah.
But when I lived in the Midwest, man, it was like the best time of my life, because like it was just like the friendliest group of people I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
And so why haven't you moved out of St. Louis? Like, that's my first question.
Yeah. Well, born and raised
what
here.
Makes St. Louis special for you, I guess?
What makes St. Louis special? Yeah, I think, well, I love my family probably more than I should. So super close to my sisters and my mom and dad, and like first cousins and some second cousins. So big family guy. Yeah. So that's what makes St. Louis really special to me. And I do love the Midwest. I think it's great. Like I said, I lived out in Nevada, just on the probably 20 miles from the California border. And maybe it's just because my family wasn't there, but I did feel what you're talking about. It's very independent. People just have their hobbies and they go do their hobbies and they go to work, and it's their kind of their crew that they hang out with. It was very different than the Midwest. But yeah, so I would say the main reason I'm here is my family.
Your family?
But
what about the Atlassian scene, and what does that look like in the Midwest, or at least in St. Louis?
Yeah, so the Atlassian community events are They're great. There's a couple partners that are here. There's at least three platinum partners with a presence in St. Louis. Obviously, Eficode being one of the smaller. It's just me here in St. Louis. We're fully remote. So there's a big presence of partners. So the Atlassian community events are great for that. But there's also a good amount of customers as well. So there's some big companies headquartered and with a big presence in St. Louis. So the community is.
I was gonna say, can you guess where I used to work at if I lived in St. Louis?
Can I say?
Yeah.
I would guess Contigix.
No. So my whole time in St. Louis.
Oh, you just mean like you weren't with Atlassian.
Yeah, no, I didn't. When I left St. Louis,
Yeah.
my first day back in California was my first day on that I got introduced to it, Jura.
Okay. So if you lived out in St. Peter's, maybe MasterCard?
Good guess, but no, I worked on the St. Louis side.
You were on the St. Louis side. Anheuser-Busch?
No.
No, I don't know. You're gonna have to tell me. What was that?
Boeing.
Nice.
Yeah.
There you go. Right on.
Like the only company that's out there.
Yeah, true. There's like the other two I listed.
Yeah. I think you can narrow industries in St. Louis to literally just those three.
Yeah.
Boeing owns the whole airport, right? So yeah, my wife
Yeah.
and I both worked at the Boeing company.
Nice.
I worked there from 2009 all the way through 2016 that I left St. Louis.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, good times there. I don't know that Boeing. So when I was there, I was in charge of Team Foundation Server, which was basically an Atlassian competitor.
Yeah.
So I don't know that Boeing has ever made the transition to Atlassian, but
I'm not sure. Yeah.
That would be a big customer there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, I liked St. Louis a lot. My very first snowstorm that I barely survived through. That was the end for me.
Yeah. We get all 4 seasons. So
how are you guys doing with the cicadas right now?
Well, I am in South City near the Hill. I don't know if you're familiar with the Hill.
That's where that Italian.
Yeah, it's like an Italian.
But there was
sector.
that
Like kind of like a Little Italy type of thing. What was that?
There's that Italian place that old lady used to run the original recipe.
There's about 40 Italian restaurants, but
there's like one main one. There's like the one on the hill, and then there's the one next to the St. Louis or the Missouri River that's in that casino looking thing. On your side of the hood.
I know Zia's is a really popular one. I'm not sure.
I could have sworn it started with the G.
St. Louisans are going to be mad if they watch this.
I know. Yeah, no, I could have sworn it started with the G. It's like every time that somebody was in town, we would all go to the one on the hill.
Oh, okay. Well, you honestly can't make a bad decision on the hill. There's a bunch of.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do miss
toasted ravioli.
Culture.
Some toasted ravioli.
I had never tasted toasted ravioli until I moved to St. Louis.
What
is this magical thing?
Yeah. Yep.
I hope to. So I have my house still.
Yeah.
With the expectation that one day I will get sick and tired of California and I'll go back.
Yeah.
But
yeah, St. Peter's, that area is always growing, so it's probably not a bad place to have some real estate, honestly.
Dude, the number of people that call me on a day-to-day basis.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
My house.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I might call you. If you need a renter.
Yeah, no, let me know because my neighbors live in here right now. They have
nice
boys that moved in. But man, I really I dreaded my entire 31 months in Missouri. I hated it.
Yeah.
It was like the worst 31 months of my life, in my opinion. Because I was born and raised in Southern California.
Yeah,
right?
it's a big change.
Like if I'm hot, I open up my window, and if I'm cold, I close it.
Yeah.
That's my AC.
Yeah.
But being an adult, because I became an adult in St. Louis. I was a kid before, because I'm an only child. I was when I got married, we just moved into like a guest house my mom built. But when I came back to California, man, paying 13.3% of my income tax, giving it to the state of California is a pain.
It's crazy.
My car renewals just came out. They're like so expensive, $700 to renew.
Yeah.
So it's I can definitely see
There's
day
pros
where
and cons.
Yeah, I'll go back one day.
Yeah,
that's why we kept that house. We're hopeful that one day we'll be back.
Nice.
But one last thing I did want to ask you. So, favorite barbecue joint in St. Louis? Let's see if you can redeem yourself from all the St. Louis.
No, I don't think I'm gonna. I guess I'd say Salt and Smoke.
Okay.
guess I'd say Salt and Smoke. I think what's the other one? I really don't eat a ton of I am like, I eat like the same 6 things like all the time. So I don't do a ton of barbecue. But
Sugar Fire is my favorite.
Yeah, Sugar Fire is really good. But to put it in perspective, I went to a Greek restaurant last week with my friends and his parents, and I got a burger, and they just like they roasted me.
How often do you go to Menards?
I've never even been.
What?
No, I don't know. Is that a St. Louis? I've been here my whole life, but I'm like the least and most St. Louis person all at the same time.
You're almost like me. I'm like the worst Mexican. I don't eat any spicy food.
Yeah. I'm the worst St. Louisan. Yeah. I'm the worst and best. At the core, I am a hardcore St. Louisan. But yeah, my claim to fame is my grandpa. He was on the '67 St. Louis Cardinals World Series team.
Really?
So yeah, he was on the Cardinals for I think 6 or 8 years back in the '60s and '70s.
Nice.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of memories here in St. Louis. But I don't eat out at barbecue places, and I don't go to Menards. So that may rule
like the 2 memorable things that I have of the Midwest. Very, very dear to me. My biggest regret, though, living in St. Louis is I never. So Boeing has this thing called the Boeing Leadership Center, or at least they did. I think they're trying to sell it now.
Yeah.
But it's in oh boy, northwest of Ferguson.
Okay.
Up there. It's so the Boeing Leadership Center, like you can oversee the Missouri River, but it's still
okay
on the side. So that's as far north as I ever went.
Okay.
I touched the Mississippi.
Yeah.
I put my finger in the water, and that's as far as east. I never crossed the bridge.
Yeah.
Any of them.
Wow.
Never went. Mainly because there was an intern once who got an amazing deal living out of East St. Louis.
Yeah.
But he went through like 4 cars that summer.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so I was just told, like, if you cross the river, just be very, very careful. My wife's from the hood in LA, and I'm like, I don't want to even mess with that.
Deal with that, yeah.
So I never crossed the river, but I did touch the Mississippi. And then I have a buddy who lives in Arnold. So
yeah,
Arnold is as far south as I went.
Okay.
And then technically Lake St. Louis.
Yeah.
Actual Lake St. Louis is as far west as I went, but that was just one time. But most of the time, I would only go to Highway K.
Yeah.
And that's as far west. Like I never went down to Rolla. I never went down to Rolla. I never went out to like the Mizzou. I never went out to Mizzou.
Oh yeah, Columbia and all that.
I never made it out to Kansas City.
Okay.
So big regrets. Never made it out to Chicago. So if I go back, I tell my
hit some of those spots.
doing it. We're doing it right next time.
KC is pretty cool. Kansas City's they're doing it right now, especially with all the Chiefs. You know, it's just everyone's all excited down there. So it's a good place. And Kansas City has amazing. I think they have better barbecue. Well, all I can say is the best barbecue I've ever had in my life was in Kansas City. At Oklahoma Joe's. I got a Z-Man. Z-Man at Oklahoma Joe's. I think it's called Kansas City Joe's now, but
I'm gonna have to go. I think I'm trying to the Jura Life. We're trying to get like on a road show type of thing, right? Where people invite us out. So if that can become my full-time job, where I literally go to like ACE events, that would be awesome. Or even worldwide. Like I think that
that would be awesome.
Cool part of my job. But anyways, let's wrap this one up. Let's jump into content creation, right? So what got you interested in making videos? Because you are technically my competitor.
Yes. So at my last partner, I was tasked with making some, kind of JSM update videos, kind of lower production quality, not on anybody's part. I mean, the production quality that I'm doing now, not that it's really high, but it's still just all me. So had some experience there of just kind of talking in front of a camera. We did a lot of live webinars and boot camps at my last partner as well. So I had a lot of experience having a teacher mindset, kind of on call type of, kind of on camera type of thing, live camera type of thing. And so at Eficode, we were in need of some content creation. It was kind of whom shall I send and who will go for us? And I was like, well, here am I, send me. So, I just kind of raised my hand and told them I had experience. I put together like a marketing, if I even want to call it that, like an initiative of like, hey, here's I can make X amount of videos in X amount of time. And then I really went all in. I found some, I got my ring light, my microphone, and I was like, found some software to to cut me out and, green screen effect. And I was like, we can do this, so that's really all it's been. And then other than that, the content's just been, what's going on in JSM. We had like a solution series where we're, showing, hey, we can just, implement these solutions for your teams, and just kind of bringing awareness to, we're actually trying to get out the IT and ITSM. So we're trying to just preach this, back to the very beginning of this, discussion, getting into service management, not just IT service management. So we're trying to come up with interesting use cases on some of these videos saying, hey, these are solutions. Did you know JSM can do this? It's not just your ITIL feature set. It's also for marketing teams and all these other teams. And you can build it into your work management projects and all those sorts of things. So
yeah, no, I always advertise that it's just an intake system.
It's just an intake system. Yep.
And if you need a custom intake with free licenses,
yep,
JSM's your way.
JSM's a tool. Totally. It's really as simple as that. And it's so scalable.
Intake and approvals, those are the two big like heavy hitters of like, this is why we use JSM. I never ever touch assets, and I never ever touch the ITSM template.
Yep.
I avoid the ITSM template at all costs.
Yeah.
Just because we're always building just custom solutions for it. So I'm gonna have to check out a lot more of your videos, see what I can borrow.
Yeah, definitely. They're all on my LinkedIn. So I think we're working on getting them on, easing into YouTube. But right now,
like what is like, do you enjoy the content creation versus the being in front of the customer? Does it balance you out?
Yeah, it's been a really good mix. I think I'm not sure which I love most. I think, doing multiple things right now has been really great. I think it's allowed me to bring an interesting perspective to marketing. It's like, hey, I have real world experience. Like, I am implementing this for customers. Here's how we're doing it. These sorts of things. So it's been a great balance. I really wouldn't change up the scale right now.
I find that having that role of solutions or the essay, right, helps the videos.
Yeah.
Right. Because your videos are not just like a how to do this.
Yeah.
Right. It's not just like a, hey, we're just going to add a status and click here, but it really gives you like, we're going to modify our workflow so that you can get this solution. Right.
Yep.
Unless you're in it doing that essay type of role, you're really not going to come up with these ideas, and ChatGPT sure as hell is not going to give you that either.
Yeah. So it just allowed me to bring, I think, a unique perspective to what we're seeing in the market, playing off ESM. I think we're also doing our best the timing's actually been great for, what Atlassian's actually preaching with ESM and, pitching these service management plays and these solution plays. So yeah, it's been really great timing, and it's been a really enjoyable process. It was also really great to get added as a creator. That was kind of
no, we'll talk about that in a second here, but
yeah,
I kind of want to go a little bit deeper. So on the content creation though, you're doing this under the Eficode brand, right?
Yes.
So then this is interesting though, right? Because so for me, I make the videos, but I don't advertise that people can I don't help people.
Yes.
Right. So I put the videos out, and there's sponsorships that I have.
Yes.
And there's courses that I have, but I still haven't created this like leap of like, hey, if you want, I can also help you. Yeah. So it's not the lead gen yet. I mean, it's a lead gen, but for the other stuff that I've been concentrating on. But I would imagine, so like, is this something that you came to Eficode and you said, hey, maybe we can dig deeper into this, or did Eficode like, hey, we want to create more content for brand awareness?
It was a little bit of both. So there was a need for content creation from the US teams and UK US team. And I kind of took it and said, well, I don't know if I mean, there was the whole team involved, but I think there was and it was a few months ago, there was some conversation around, hey, let's also use this for, I think it just happened organically. It's like, we're all everyone on our team is pretty sales oriented. So I think it was always the idea of like, how can we use this as lead gen into service projects and all those sorts of things. I think it's a cool way to, like I said, we're big on, one of our unique selling points at Eficode is having someone involved at every stage. I think what's cool, I've even had some people reach out on LinkedIn like, hey, I saw your video. Like, I think it's cool to establish that relationship even before they come in to work with Eficode. It's like, oh my gosh, I saw Owen on a video and now he's actually doing our technical implementation. Like that's a cool kind of life cycle of this relationship. So it's just a cool way to get our name out there. And especially, it would be great, as we build up our team, I think it'd be really cool to have kind of solution plays given by all of our technical SAs.
Now, do you ever see a tipping point though, right? Because I mean, we try to spend 5 minutes together.
Yes.
The teams, and it clearly didn't happen, right?
Yeah.
So the more, I mean, obviously I have 600 videos under my belt here.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
what happens when Owen has 600 videos under his belt? Like, where do you see this going?
Yeah. I haven't gotten that far. So I'm just creating them. Luckily it's just me and my dog. So I've got some time, before and after work to put in some time to the videos. But so, how long, I don't know how long I can continue to do both at a really high level. But I think end goal for me would probably be to move into more of that pre-sales, enterprise sales kind of role. And most, I don't know, moving out of maybe technical implementations as much. And right now, I mean, I'm only supposed to be allocated just over half my time. So the company actually knows that, like I said at the very beginning, I truly have a hybrid role in terms of like our literal organizational chart and role. So they give me time to allocate towards marketing and pre-sales as well as implementation.
That's really good. Yeah. Cause a lot of people, so if you look at the other content creators, right? Most of them either do it unsanctioned, right? Where it's just them, like I'm unsanctioned, right? I just do my own thing. Versus someone like you, who's like literally half your job, you're saying, is to promote the brand.
Yes.
Raise awareness, right? And
so promote the brand as not just elevate with Eficode, like that involves sales calls and pre-sales calls and demoing and conferences and speaking at conferences. So all those things kind of wrap up into that half my time breakdown.
Yeah. But it doesn't hurt when your face starts getting recognized everywhere.
Yeah.
And you're trying to have a meeting with someone in the middle of a hallway.
Yeah. I'm not quite at your level yet, but I can only imagine that would be pretty tough.
So where do you see the Atlassian Content Creators Program then? Like, how do you see that hurting or helping you?
Yeah, I think as I was just stating, so the way I found out about it, I saw a post by Ed Gale, my guy Ed Gale at AppFire.
Who, by the way, I sent him over to Sugarfire last time he was out there.
I know. Well, he was at the ACE event. He brought it to ACE, or I think he brought Salt and Smoke to ACE, but he had Sugarfire. Yeah, so he was all in.
Yeah, we were trying to figure out. He's like, "What barbecue do I do in St. Louis?" I'm like, "Well, you got to go to Sugarfire because that's
Sugarfire is good."
Sorry, go ahead.
But he reshared the form, so I just kind of applied and tagged a couple of my videos, and I kind of set it and forget it type of thing. I wasn't sure if I'd hear back, and then got accepted, and it's been a lot more valuable than I thought it was going to be. I didn't really know what it was. But it was great to see some familiar faces in there. Obviously you and some other folks that I'd worked with.
Next year you'll be able to hang out with us the whole time.
I know.
Yeah, it was a bad timing this year, but
I know. Yeah, so it was really cool. And then it was obviously great. I mean, with the hash, Atlassian liked the post on my last LinkedIn post, which was really cool. And so just kind of helped get the message out there a little bit. And it's just I'm like pro community. I grew up playing sports and played baseball throughout college, so I'm all in on team and community. The more community, the better. So it's just cool to kind of be on the team and have some insight and all that stuff.
What's your experience with live teaching?
Yeah, so I have quite a bit of experience leading full-on JSM kind of multi-day boot camps.
Okay, because I don't know if you know, but we do have a live training program that we've been trying to pioneer.
Oh, nice. No, I'm not. Yeah. I'm not aware.
Yeah, since January, it was me and like 4 other creators, but now I think it's expanded to like 7 or 8.
Okay.
But we do like a 1 hour, like a webinar style.
Oh, that'd be great.
Live training every month, right? And
nice.
So we're wrapping up. It was a 6-month pilot, but it was overwhelmingly successful.
Yeah.
The Jira Life, this YouTube channel, went from literally having at least another year of monetization ahead of us to get to monetization to like we should hit it by end of June.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
It's just accelerated like the watch hours and subscriber counts and the amount of people, because Atlassian promotes a lot of our material and
what
we're doing here. So we're already
Definitely.
planning out the next stuff. So I'll definitely throw your name in
Yeah, keep me in the
the
loop.
ring there.
Yeah, I'd be happy to help if I could.
Cool. Well, any questions for me?
I mean, I'd love to get to know you more and talk more, but I don't know offhand if I have any right now. Yeah.
Well, whenever you want to reach out, let me know.
Yeah.
If I'm ever back in St. Louis, we'll
Yeah, hit
definitely
me
I'll look
up.
you up. Which part are you?
I'm in
Like,
South City.
oh yeah,
So
right. I think
I'm
you
like
mentioned that.
10 minutes south of Forest Park.
Okay. Yeah,
Right
so
down.
I
You could
wanna
take
watch
East
you
Highway down.
for like a year.
Okay. Yeah.
Boeing paid for everything, so I went
Nice.
to the most expensive stuff I could find.
Yeah, definitely. Oh yeah.
I had an unlimited budget at Boeing for continuing education, so
Oh, there you go.
I got the most expensive degrees and those most expensive paperworks I can get.
Nice.
Because
Nice.
it was all unlimited, so I was
Yeah,
like, "Why not?"
definitely.
So, yeah, so I'll definitely hit you up if I'm ever back out there. I'm hoping to go out in October. I'd
Oh,
love
nice.
to go out in October, but I'm trying to see if I can coordinate it as an ACE event so that I can,
Yeah,
just depend on
definitely. Well,
distance and
let me
stuff
know
to
if you
get
need
out
help
there.
coordinating or anything like that. I'm happy to help.
Yeah, no, definitely. But yeah, thank you very much for joining me on this, and
Yeah.
welcome to the community. And next year I'm hosting. It's in my hometown, the last year,
Nice.
Team
Yeah, of
25.
course.
You
Yeah.
will have to make a very hard call next year.
Yeah.
You'll have to pick if you go to the conference as a partner or as a creator.
Oh, interesting.
Because
Okay.
there's events happening at the exact same time for both,
Okay.
right? And
Interesting.
and so yeah,
We'll
I would
see.
recommend you come in as
Yeah.
a creator
Yeah, yeah,
and then
definitely.
dip into the partner as appropriate.
Yeah,
But,
definitely.
yeah, definitely we'll keep you in the loop on all the things
For
happening because
sure.
like, that Monday that you and I met, Siebert Media, they have a whole thing across well, they've done it historically, but on Treasure Island, they do, like, a whole like, a pre-conference conference.
Okay.
So they had, like, an 8-hour, like, full
Oh,
of
wow.
talks and stuff going on, so that's what I was going to that
Okay.
morning. And then Tuesday, all the creators got together, but then all the partners. I don't know if anybody from Eficode went, but all
I
the
think
partners
we
have
did.
like a special
I think we
training.
had 2 folks that were there. I saw some things in the chat.
Yeah, so at the same time, there's that, and then there's a creator stuff happening. So there's a creator breakfast.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
I guess I'll call it now a champions breakfast, and there's
Okay.
we'll get updates on the state of the union of what it means to be a champion.
Okay.
All the cool stuff that Atlassian's doing for that year. We have a lunch. We have a like photo ops.
Nice.
And then there's a dinner. I don't know if you saw this, but I had dinner with the leadership team at Atlassian,
Okay.
and
Awesome.
I got the first inaugural student or standout creator award.
There you go.
So I
Right
got to
on.
have dinner with a few. I mean, the entire
Yeah.
leadership team was there from
Yeah. Oh,
Atlassian.
super cool.
So yeah,
Wow.
so very really cool stuff, right? That we get to do as a champion
Yeah.
now. So
Yeah.
highly recommend you tilt towards the
Yeah,
champion.
definitely.
If you have to pick the checkbox next year,
Yeah.
partner or champion, I would go with champion.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, that's
Cool.
great insight. Thanks,
Right.
Alex. Well, I
Well, again,
appreciate the
I'll see you
time and
next year, and I'll
yeah,
try to make it down in October. Let's see if we can coordinate something because I'd love to,
definitely.
swing by the Lou. I don't want to go any time between now and October because
No, you certainly
I don't
don't.
like humidity.
No, or bugs.
Oh yeah, all the cicadas. Yeah,
Or
I'm
the
like,
1 trillion cicadas. Yeah.
yep. All right. Well, thanks again for
Thanks,
joining
Alex.
me, and we'll see you around. Bye.
Okay. Bye.